Death Howl is one of the more imaginative and challenging deck builders we've had the luxury of playing. And while I'm not quite sure it works exactly as it should, it's definitely one worth looking into if you're looking for a very different take on deck building design. In the game, we play a woman who is grieving the loss of her son. And using a strange ritual, she has entered the land of the dead in order to find her son's soul and bring him back. But unfortunately, the dead aren't willing to give up their secrets easily, and we're going to have to explore 4 very different and challenging realms in order to hopefully get them back. The game is described as a Soulslike deck builder, and that is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how different this game is. The structure is that you have 4 different realms to explore. Each realm is its own biome with specific enemies, as well as resources and unlocks to achieve. The Souls-like element comes in with you have progress that is locked in via these kinds of stone monuments. They are your hubs, your leveling up areas, as well as your fast travel. When you use one to heal, every enemy in the world revives. So the idea is that in order to make permanent progress while exploring, you must reach the different stone areas in each zone. Now, if you die, you can kind of recover and try the fight again, but your health will only be restored to what it was at before you started the fight. So the only ways to fully recover are to reset the world. When you defeat enemies, they will drop resources that can be used to craft cards, and howls. The howls are essentially your souls for this game. They are used both in the card creation, and you use them to level up by gaining teardrops. These are kind of your perk points. Now this is where just one part of this game gets very strange, and we haven't even touched on the actual combat yet. Each one of the 4 realms has its own exclusive perk tree. And the teardrops are universal, so you can use whatever you found in one area, you can use them in another perk tree. Each perk tree has kind of standardized unlocks. You can get access to a unique card, a unique totem, which is this game's version of kind of the artifacts or passive buffs, and each region has a special power that you can activate. And this kind of comes in line with the kind of major aspect of Death Howl, that each area is designed around a very specific playstyle. The cards that you unlock, as well as the enemies that you face, will focus on this specific style. So you're not building in this game one perfect deck. Instead, you need to build at least 4 decks, one for each area. And if you try to use another region's cards in a kind of the incorrect region, they will suffer a 1 mana penalty. And you can kind of experiment with this because there's a lot of 0 or low cost cards that are just really damn good, such as those that cure ailments, those that provide debuffs, even those that will grant you more mana. And as you explore the world, you'll find hidden cache of resources, new totems, and quests to go for. And completing these quests can oftentimes unlock kind of this game's version of the colorless cards, or in this case, realmless cards that can apply to any deck. And this is where we get to kind of the strange difficulty of Death Howl. The combat here is kept relatively basic. The enemies will oftentimes have 2 patterns. One if they're close to you, and one if they're far away. Now, some enemies have a very nasty attack that's highlighted by an exclamation point if you're in the wrong spot. And there are elite variants, who will oftentimes have more health and some very nasty passives to go with their attacks. And keeping what I just said a minute ago, each biome will introduce enemies that will kind of play to a specific style or require a specific strategy. One area it is all about poison damage. The enemies will oftentimes just gain armor for free every turn, they'll grant armor to the other enemies, and so the game is just basically slightly encouraging you to use poison, which gets through armor. In another region, the enemies feature very high damage, they're very mobile. However, they'll take double damage if you can hit them in the back. So this region will favor you using cards that allow you to move or gain properties after you move specific spaces. Another one is all about kind of using discard to aid you, and it changes again from region to region. And the difficulty is really going to be dependent on how quickly you pick up on this. This is not a deck builder where you can just throw really cool cards in your deck and you can kind of slide past. No, if you take the wrong cards or if you're not learning what the region demands of you, you are going to fail. And in a very odd sense, the difficulty and progression of this game reminds me a lot of King's Bounty. One of my favorite games from the 2000s. I'm not sure if anyone even watching this remembers that one. But in King's Bounty, the whole idea of your early progression is to kind of skirt the edges of each area, looking for any free resources, any easy fights to build yourself up, that then you can then take out the medium threats in each area, and then you take out the advanced threats. And that's what Death Howl kind of wants you to do. It is a massive difference fighting these enemies when you have no perks unlocked in the area, you have no cards yet constructed, versus just having everything available to you. And it really comes to a head during the boss fights. Each region has a boss for you to defeat, and this is when this Souls-like deck builder turns into a puzzle game, because each boss pretty much demands you to bring a build that counters it. And to throw another name in, it really turns it almost like Library of Ruina levels of, did you learn this boss's pattern? No? Then prepare to die. So this guy, you need to first off kill all his little tentacles that one respawns every turn. So two of the best totems in this game that once you get them you will probably never take them off. One grants you 2 card draw on enemy kill, another one grants you 2 energy on enemy kill. With these 2 attached, and you can only have 4 totems max, it basically lets you just start chaining kills together to get massive numbers. And then when the boss actually shows up, this guy is heavily mobile, he can knock you around, he summons insta-kill enemies that if they touch you, you die. And on top of that, the first direct damage it takes on a new turn is completely nullified. And I beat this guy with just literally 1 health point left in my name. So I came down to the wire on that fight. And each boss has its own little nasty trick that if you don't learn or you don't build your deck accordingly, you are going to be in for a lot of trouble. Because here's the other little nasty secret about Death Howl. There are no permanent stat upgrades in this game. You will never unlock more base mana, you will never raise your card levels up, permanently, and you will never have more than 20 health points. So once again, it gets back to what I said a few minutes ago. You don't learn the pattern or the rules for that region, you are never going to win. And it takes me to, again, this the weirdness of this game. That I can see a lot of people just checking out very quickly in it. It is not a game that's going to give up its secrets very easily or very quickly. And the grinding in this game, I feel, is a little too much in terms of what it's asking you to do. Like I said, you have to unlock everything on these perk trees. If I didn't unlock all the cards, all the bonus, one of the more subtle yet really great upgrades this game gives you is that whenever you kill an enemy, once you unlock the perk, you get a special card that goes with that enemy. And that special card will typically do something very important based off of that fight. The poison that I mentioned about a minute or so ago. When you kill spider class enemies and you get their card, it will grant you kind of ailment recovery. Which again, if an enemy is going to be causing poison to you every other turn, is kind of important. And you have to, again, deal with all this. And the amount of grinding required to get enough teardrops just felt a little too much. Because remember, your howls are also used for card unlocks. I kind of wish the game would have introduced like a, if you go X amount of fights in a row without having to go heal, you get like a howl multiplier. Let's say it goes times 2, times 3, times 4, whatever. Because it costs 15 howls in order to get 1 skill point. And you will typically have to spend at least 2 to 3 skill points per perk in order to unlock them. And it is a very different game. Starting out with no cards, no perks, versus having your complete set. And I feel like the game doesn't provide enough motivation and enough of a carrot on the stick to encourage someone to stick it through all the way. At the point where I'm at in the game, I've gone through 3 of the 4 regions, I've almost unlocked every single perk, my totems are perfectly aligned, and I have most of my decks fully furnished. But that took a lot of time. There are some nights where I felt like we played for 2 hours, and I may have only made 20 to 30 minutes of actual progress in terms of unlocking new cards, completing a quest, or just getting to the next checkpoint. And to take this back to the start of this review, the Souls-like moniker I think really does apply to Death Howl. This is a game you're either going to really love or you're going to really hate. But I'm certainly fascinated by how this game handles its progression compared to everything else that we've seen. If you're looking for a very quick and easy game to play, Death Howl is definitely not going to be it. But if you're in the mood for a challenge, and one where it just constantly forces you to adapt and try and figure out the solution to a very violent puzzle, then I would give this one a play. Death Howl was played with a press key provided by the publisher. Let me tell you your game. For a future stream and review, be sure to get in touch. And if you did play this one, I'm very curious what you thought of it and how far you got in. Because again, it does feel like a very different game, going from no unlocks to some unlocks to having all the unlocks. But with that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with some more game reviews and design talks coming real soon. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and if you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.